Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for tuning in and listening to our episodes of Machine Success. I feel like we've had some really great episodes and really showed some awesome examples of success in manufacturing education. And today we have a really great guest. We're talking today with Bill Padnos from the National Tooling and Machining Association's Foundation and Workforce Development. He is the executive director, and he's charged with leading the National Robotics League, or NRL, and the NTMAU. Bill works to promote manufacturing as a viable career option for youth, parents, and educators while working with NTMA member companies on the recruitment strategies and new and incumbent worker education and training programs. So welcome today, Bill. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, so, Bill, one of the things that, everyone's talking about right now is the skills gap. There's going to be so many job openings for manufacturing. And so can you tell us a little bit about, what's different about the National Robotics League and the relationship with the industry and how these problems with the skills gap can potentially be solved here?
Well, as you know, first, before I even start, I'm so glad to be able to be here with both of you and to talk about a program that I know that's dear to my heart and also dear to both of your hearts as well. So I appreciate this opportunity. I mean, what's unique about the National Robotics League program is that it was created by industry. The style of industry's greatest need is where we're getting that future workforce. So the NRL is about engaging manufacturing's next generation through full contact innovation. And our vision is we want every student to consider manufacturing and explore and understand that manufacturing is a viable career option. And that's what makes us unique, is that we want students to learn those technical skills and critical thinking skills needed for careers in manufacturing, but also to learn about the benefits of working in industry. So every school that's involved in our program is matched up with an industry advisor. That industry advisor is not just there to help them to build the bot, but it's also that person is there to help them to learn about manufacturing careers, and hopefully it becomes a workforce talent pipeline where the companies are able to work with the teachers and talk with the students and saying, hey, here's a great opportunity for you, come work for me.
It really is amazing. And Clint and I have both had a chance to come to the national championships. I generally attend the local regional one here with my kids as well. And both of us have met some amazing students. I mean, just blown away by the caliber of student and what they do coming through the NRL program. What is your favorite student story?
You know what? I actually have a couple. I was thinking about this and trying to figure out how can I narrow this down, because being involved in this program since 2013, I've really seen some amazing students. So on a couple of them, one was, it was more of a parent who came to us because her son has autism and has never been involved in a team. And she came to us crying, just saying, I can't believe my son's a part of a team, and how special that made her feel. So that's more of my feel good. This past year, there was this team called from Henfield High School. They built this bot called The Thing. Tony, you missed this one. Clint and I saw this. This thing was almost like a rolling air conditioning unit. I don't know how to describe what it was. And the kids were just excited that the bot moved. And the fact that it lasted 3 minutes and won a battle, to them, it was the greatest achievement they've ever had. They wanted to do something completely different. They knew they were not going to win at all the competition, but they wanted to test to see what they can do. And then after every battle, they took the thing apart and put it back together, but it was designed for that. It was amazing that on the day, on Friday, we have the opening round of competition, and we ask them and we say, you have to leave your bot at their table. We go around and the thing is just spread out on the table in many different parts. And everyone's like, wait, did they leave their bot? I go, no, it's there. It was in complete mess. I mean, I don't want to say mess, but it really showed what the full contact innovation, especially innovation component of our program, because they just wanted to do something different. Because I don't care who wins. The most important thing I want is when I get the stories of our students, they try something new, or the fact is they're getting hired directly by their industry advisors. So to me, that's the most important part of this program.
I would agree. I think it's the triumph of defeat. When something goes wrong when you're out, and I think one of the coolest things I've ever seen is I was at the program here locally in Ohio, and one of the teams needed a component and they didn't have enough time to get it fixed. And the other team said, we'll give them an extra 5 minutes to get it fixed. And they did it. And then they ended up they won the entire thing. It was the Beaumont team. Yeah. And it was like, oh my gosh, you gave them an extra 5 minutes and now they annihilated everybody, but you could have just knocked them out. So for me, it's sportsmanship, which you don't see a lot of that anymore in team events. So that's one of my favorite things. Sorry, Clint, I kind of interjected there.
No, that's great. I think sportsmanship, I mean, Bill, obviously that was my first time being at the event this year. And something I wanted to mention is the energy that the students have is literally infectious. Like I had no idea how much I was going to get into the whole judging process and just watching and being that close to the arena. And so it was really exciting. And the thing was awesome too. So
I'm pretty confident Clint was sending me pictures that weekend from the event.
Oh, yeah, you have to. You're right there. I mean, you had the best seat in the house. You also had the most tense seat because you had to judge a couple of the really close battles. But these kids have been working all year in teams to design, really research, design, build, test, and rebuild these 15-pound bots so it can battle in this gladiator-style competition. But the most important thing is when you think about it for manufacturing, our program is not kit-based. So these students had to really research and decide what they wanted because there was nothing fixed for them to do outside of their imagination and what they saw before. And then they figured out, what can I be doing better? And then they test it out, they prototype them to make sure all the components will fit. And then it's time to actually do the assembling of that bot. So the amount of work that's done, but it's over the year. So they can be doing so many other activities. It's not just this and nothing. They want to run track. They want to be a part of other STEM competitions. They can do so much more than just what this program is, because for most of our schools, this is in the classroom and not as an after-school activity.
Yeah, it's really amazing. For me, obviously the robot and the battling is so exciting, and that to me is the most exciting part. But I think some of the most important work happens outside of just the robot itself. So tell us a little bit about how these teams can kind of raise money. Tell us about the extensive documentation process, and then what it means to be just a part of the team. Can you talk just a little bit about the process outside of the robot?
Well, as you know, in the manufacturing process, everything has to be documented. Every part that goes into it, you have to do the planning, the budgeting, the project management, the bill of materials. So what we have the students have to do is, in order to compete, you have to turn in an engineering binder or your documentation. And those documentations those books can be like that big. Actually, I should do it more like this. And they're heavy. But the goal is that they should be able to give that documentation to any manufacturing company, and they would be able to reproduce the bot exactly the way they want it with the budgeting purposes or how they handle the budgeting. But when you also talked about the fundraising, because a lot of these teams, they maybe get a little bit of seed money from their school, but because of all the cuts and everything that's happening, even now with COVID, they have to fundraise. So we have some teams that will fundraise from candy sales. They'll do car washes. Some run competitions. Some will go and help out other students. I mean, there's so many different ways that they fundraise, and they have to document that as well. And that goes into a grading scale. So not only are they judge of how they do in the battles, but they do the documentation, and they also have to do an interview. Because again, it's another one of those parts is you have to prove and show what you learned from the bot building process. Because you can't really show that in the battles. You can't really show that in the documentation, but you need to say that orally to industry executives or to college people or to some of our great volunteers. Are able to say, this is decisions what we made. And we grade them not just on if it's a great presentation by one person. This is a team event. Mm-hmm. So if not everyone is speaking during the interview process, I've told the interviewers, you mark them down, because this is not a solo project. There is no I in the NRL. or
And
in
I've
team
actually,
or any of those aspects. You have to, I hate to use that cliche, but it has to be a team effort. And then they learn also, again, it's that teamwork is because you have 20 minutes in between battles to get Humpty Dumpty back together again if it got damaged. So you have to learn how to communicate with each other. And if a teacher touches that bot during our competitions, the team gets a 10-second penalty, which means that they have to hold their remote in their hand while the other team can do whatever they want to them for 10 seconds. We luckily have never had that happen because it's enough of a penalty where no team wants to have to do that.
and I have to say, I've conducted the interviews when we were at nationals, 3 years ago, before everything
Yeah.
shut down. It would have been 2019. And for me, it was amazing the awareness the students had of the brands. Like, they knew who Haas was, they knew who Mastercam was, they knew exactly what we did in the marketplace. But it was really kind of that table tennis with the students answering the questions is, I was like, okay, so tell me a little bit about the electrical and tell me about what you learned about driving. And because there were pretty much 3 distinct students. There was one who was doing a lot of the machining, there was one who was doing a lot of the electrical, there was somebody who was programming, and then there was sometimes like a marketing kind of nuance person. That for me to see some of the students and what they were making on manual machines because they didn't have access to CNC was astounding. So I will say the interview process really impressed me. And I think I walked away from that saying that this is pretty impressive. These kids are really, really impressive. They're learning so much doing this.
And when you mention about the team aspect, I laugh about this because my children are into musical theater. They're not STEM kids. They've been coming around these competitions because I've been around this program for 9 years. My daughter came on Saturday to help out with the competition on Saturday, and our high school is involved in the program. She never wanted to be a part of it. She always used to kid around and saying, oh, they'll want me on the team because, my dad's in charge, so they'll win. But then she started talking to the students on the team because she realized she had a couple of them that were friends. And she's like, oh, you know what, next year I'm going to help you with recruiting. You know what, I'm going to help you a little bit with the branding and what your bot should look like. I'm going to help a little bit on this documentation and make it look good. So all of a sudden she got excited about being a part of the team, not on the technical aspect, but actually helping to build the team and helping on the marketing aspect and what the bot's name should look like, what the color should be of the bot. She got excited about that component, which is a part of manufacturing.
Yeah, it's all part of manufacturing. So I think that's amazing. And I love hearing about the students, but I also love hearing the first time somebody from industry attends. So tell us one of your favorite reactions on the industry side. When somebody comes for the first time to see BattleBots, tell me about one of your favorite reactions there.
Well, it actually happened a couple of years ago when I was still in charge of the Pittsburgh program, where one of the manufacturers received our postcard. We sent a postcard to all of them in the area and said, come down to the Bots IQ finals. Come, we'll have a reception that's sponsored by the local Haas factory outlet, but also come through the pits where the students have where they have their tables, where they work on the bots. And I said, it's the best reverse career fair you could possibly imagine. So I get a call 2 days prior from this one industry person and actually member of NTMA, and they come and say, wait, we can just come down to this competition and meet with these students. There's no charge for us. We just come down and talk, and we can, whoever we want to, we can talk to. I'm like, yes. So wait a second, we don't have to pay for this. We don't have to set up we can just come down and meet with these kids. I said, yes, that's all that you come down and see it. She saw the program. She's like, I can't wait. We got to get a pre-apprenticeship program. We got to get things started. I'm looking for interns. I found a student that was one of our alumni of the program. And I went to Zach and I said, Zach, are you looking for an internship this summer? He's like, yes. I go, here, let me introduce you to this person. And all of a sudden I go a couple of months later, I go on a tour and there's Zach for his internship. So I think that's where one of the big issues were. Our members, but not even our members, all manufacturers don't realize that these STEM competitions that are out there are the best reverse career fairs you can possibly imagine. You get to see these kids in action. They're showing what they've learned. They're excited. As Clint, you mentioned that. They're so excited about what's going on. We had one of our stalwart members, I did a panel on fixing a disconnect between industry, education, and government, which I know can't be done in a 50-minute session, but we started the conversation. And one of our industry people who was on the panel said, you know what, I wish there were ways I can show people or tell people about, that I want them to start learning those technical skills needed for manufacturing, but I need also someone who's creative. And I went to him, I go, John, God, I wonder if NTMA has that program. I wonder if we offer a program where kids can learn about the manufacturing process and show their creativity and innovation. And he is a person who is the champion of our program in Philadelphia. And so when he said, he didn't think about that. And that's why I was able to throw my plug in about the NRL, because that's the key part of this program. And that's what industry starts seeing is these students are learning those technical skills, but they're also learning that creativity. They're the ones who are going to be the problem solvers. They're the ones who are going to figure out how to put a round peg in a square hole, or they'll make the thing work.
So, Bill, talking about industry, I'm constantly beating the drum that education alone cannot solve the skills gap, right? It has to be a symbiotic relationship between whatever the local industry is in manufacturing, those local industrial companies, and the technical schools and the trade schools and any school that has engineering or manufacturing in it. And so, how can industry actually support the NRL? What can they do to actually support your program?
Well, I think the number one thing that industry can, let me go back. I'll say that there's two components that industry can do. One is they can be the champion to help get the program started in their community, to give an opportunity, because our program is based on industry educational partnerships. So industry is not involved in the program. We're just a hobby program, and that's not what we're here for. So first and foremost, if it's not in your community, help to get that started. But then if it's in your community, to be able to serve as an industry advisor to the schools. And what I mean when you're an industry advisor, it's donating maybe 40 to 60 hours worth of time throughout the whole year, helping students to learn and understand the manufacturing process. It's not making the designs for them. It's not, sometimes it could be making the parts if the students are not able at their own schools to machine the parts. It could be helping them that way, but it's helping direct them. It's helping to say, you know what, maybe there's no machine in the world that can manufacture this part that you want to be done. Maybe did you think about doing it this way because it's going to be too heavy? Or do you think about this type of material? To help be a facilitator, and not to be the builder. We don't want this to be a NASA bot, and this is not like when Big Bang Theory, when they were making them on Big Bang Theory. This is the students. It should be a little bit rough. It should have, some mismatch of some materials, because the students are using imagination and they're sourcing the stuff, but to help along the way. If you have some titanium lying around and you want to donate that, that's wonderful, or some steel or aluminum. The students, they definitely can help. That helps as well. But I think the most important part of the industry advisor is helping the students learn and understand what the manufacturing process is, getting them to learn and understand why documentation is important, understand why with the interview of how that's going to help you with presentation skills when you're in a meeting, helping them to learn that, but then also have them come visit you at your shop. Have the students see that. One of my favorites is I've gone on a tour and the school comes in on a tour. The manufacturer has what their part is, has that on the CNC machine as they come through. So the students can see their print and they can see the part being made. So they have an understanding of this is how it's being done. And because it helps to demystify what manufacturing is about, or even what precision machining is, or any aspect of manufacturing. And that's what the industry person is able to do. And then if you develop that relationship with that school and you start developing with the students, then have the parents come and have the parents come and visit, and they can see the facility and say, hey, this is how I'm going to take care of your son or daughter if they're going to come work for me. And provide them with that opportunity as well. So in the end, it's building that relationship. So then hopefully the teacher calls the industry person up and says, hey, I got a great student for you, or vice versa. The industry person calls up the teacher and says, how can I help you? What do you need? How can I make sure that you're teaching students, to be able to be the future of manufacturing?
And that's a perfect segue, Bill, into how do we get educators involved? So if we have a machine tool technology teacher, or if we have an industry partner who's watching this and says, I want this at my local school, what does that process look like for a school to join NRL?
So Tony, I think the first way for an educator to be interested is to be able to take a look and say, hey, is this something my students are interested in doing? Are they willing to make a bot from scratch? And am I willing to do that? This is not an easy project for teachers. A lot of the STEM competitions out there have everything ready to go. You know what the task is. You know what's happening. Again, I'm not saying anything about any of those programs. I think they're all important. I think they teach important skills. Our program is not easy because there is no kit. So the educator needs to be ready to be able to say, I want to engage students in learning about the full manufacturing process. So first and foremost, they're ready to get this program started. They got some kids who are energized because saw the BattleBots TV show, or they want to do something a little bit more and exciting, then they want to come be a part of it. And then they can reach out. First, they can come reach out to us, and we can see, is there a program in their area? We had, prior to the pandemic, we had about 18 different programs are out there. We're right now between 11 to 12, hopefully with more restarting back up, and we can find, is there a program nearby? How can, get them to, or they can reach out to other teachers and we'll work with them on it and other industry people and see how can we build a program. Because the most important thing is you need an educator to be interested in this program, and you need industry to be interested. Once you get those combinations together, then boom, you got your program.
Perfect. Thank you.
So Bill, I want to, that kind of does our main questions, but we'd like to go through and hit you with a few rapid fire questions, if that's okay. So I'm going to start with the first one here. If you could spend a day in someone else's shoes, who would it be?
Oh, God.
Is that your answer? God.
I know. I would not say, what?
Geez, you're shooting for the stars there, Bill.
Yeah. Honestly, I would almost say one of the students involved in our program, because when I was in high school, I didn't learn these technical skills. My shop class was taking plastic and forming it, and there was nothing like this type of program. I wish I can learn the technical skills that they're learning. And I would really wish I had that ability to be able to have that and learn, because I'm just marvel about that.
That's actually a great answer. That's one of the better ones that we've had, wouldn't you say, Clint? All right. The next question is, what is the best sport to watch live?
Baseball.
Okay.
There's nothing about being there with the green, with, the field, and sitting there with, especially with me, with my son or daughter with me and family, eating cotton candy, having all over your face, just, there's nothing better than being at a baseball game.
Yeah.
And especially
Bill,
White Sox.
That's what I was going to say. I see the banner behind you.
Yeah.
I know you've had kind of an interesting path to getting to where you are now with the NTMA, but what was your first career that you dreamed of having as a kid?
Originally, you know what, I idolized for some reason Michael J. Fox. So I was thinking I wanted to be like a tax attorney or something like that, where, I remember there are so many in the 80s, there was all these mergers and acquisitions going on. I go, you know what, if I learn how to be an attorney like my father and learn a little bit of tax and all, I can always have a job for him. I can always have a job. So for some reason, that was part of it. I don't know why. And it wasn't because he was wearing his suits and the briefcase and stuff. It was just, I just thought, I don't know. He just, for family, it just seemed cool and stuff. And then, but when I started with reality, it was actually wanted to be a marketing major and wanting a chance to be working marketing and advertising.
Awesome. What are you most proud of professionally?
Honestly, it has to be a little bit about the NRL program. Because of seeing these kids and seeing some of them as they've grown. I mean, that's one of the nice things about being in charge of a regional competition for 4 years. I saw these students grow, and there were some I saw from freshman to senior to now working in industry. and seeing that happen. But actually, in anything I did, when I started doing meeting planning, that having the person that was my coordinator actually make decisions and doing things without consulting me and asking for forgiveness later. The fact is that they had enough courage in who they were, that they were able to go ahead and be like, you know what, I can make this decision. I feel comfortable in doing this.
That's great. What's the best piece of career advice that you've ever received?
I think it was from my mentor, which was Carl Wegman from the Center for Association Growth. And he taught me that nothing's beneath you. That if you're there, say you're at a meeting, him as the executive director, as my boss, he was there to support me and what I was doing because I was the one in charge of the conference. He supported. So when someone needed to go and they needed a shuttle, they missed the shuttle, we needed to get them to the overflow hotel, he grabbed the keys and drove them. And he said to them, and the guys who he drove, they said, why are you driving? You know, who are you? And he's like, oh, I'm the executive director. He's like, why are you driving us? He's like, oh, because the meeting planner asked for help and I'm providing help and assistance because I wasn't doing anything. Why can't I just go? And I think that's what I learned, which is why for a Robotics League program, when things are happening, I'm there on the ground, helping to build, helping to get things set, because there should never be anything beneath you, especially when you work in not-for-profit.
Yeah, that's really great. And Bill, I just want to say, I know Haas Automation and Mastercam, we're both super proud to support the NRL and everything you're doing. So thank you for taking some time today and answering some questions and giving everybody a chance to learn a little bit more about what you guys are doing. So for everyone, we have a lot more great episodes coming the rest of this year. So make sure you stay tuned in. We're releasing one every month. And thanks again, Bill.
Yeah.
Thank you. I appreciate this.
I hope we can shine a light, get more programs engaged, get more companies engaged, and let's fill the pipeline.
Definitely. And you guys, as you said, Clint, you guys have been amazing supporters of this program. We truly appreciate from the leadership on down. You understand how critical it is for us to engage this next generation. So we truly appreciate it. We wish there were more companies like you who really are proactive when it comes to closing the skills gap.
At the end of
So
the
we
day,
just appreciate it.
we could fill every classroom in the country right now, and we still would not fill every open position. So yes, other companies out there, you can support NRL as a whole, you can support it regionally and locally, but go and meet these students, find out when your events are happening, get to nationals, judge, or just go as a spectator. And if you're looking at your kids who don't have an interest in manufacturing, this might be the way to do it.